Let's talk about a guy who just doesn't know when to quit. Billy McFarland. You remember him, right? The mastermind behind the Fyre Festival. Or as I like to call it, the biggest flop since CNN+. Well, guess what? He's back, fresh out of prison, and he's ready to keep going. The only guy more shameless is Joe Biden in a kindergarten. Yes, Billy McFarland is back, and he's selling tickets for Fyre Festival 2. I mean, come on. You know what they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, apparently I just really love being robbed, abandoned on an island, and left with no water and possibly the worst cheese sandwiches in human history. And did you catch his video announcement?
What's up, guys? This is a big day because as of right now, Fyre Festival 2 tickets are officially on sale. It has been the absolute wildest journey to get here, and it really all started during the 7th-month stint in solitary confinement.
I guess that's where all the best ideas for a good time come from. But does no one remember what happened the first time? Social media influencers promised luxury, celebrities, and music. What did they actually get? Basically downtown San Francisco, but somehow worse. Not only was the first one so bad that McFarland was sentenced to 6 years in prison after defrauding investors and selling fake tickets, it was the most embarrassing moment in Ja Rule's entire career. That's really saying something.
Are we ready? I guess not.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And get this, Fyre Festival was so bad, they made 2 documentaries about it. Not 1, 2. You only get that kind of treatment if you're Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, or you're a white woman that goes missing. We're constantly being told that people are smart and can make good decisions for themselves. Honestly, this is a massive question mark at this point, because people are seeing everything that happened the first time, and are still willingly handing over their money to a felon for what will be the worst sequel ever. And yes, I'm including all the new Star Wars movies. Please, stop giving this literal criminal your money. I think it was Socrates who said, where there's smoke, there's fire, but where there's Billy McFarland and fire, there's nothing but shit. Don't say I didn't warn you. I'm Ian Haworth, and this is Off Limits. So the first GOP debate is coming up, and Trump has announced he's not going to show. Instead, he's apparently going to pre-tape an interview with Tucker Carlson. Now, all of this does make sense. Tucker Carlson gets to get one over on Fox News, Trump gets to blow up on Twitter, his favorite thing, and everyone ends up talking about him anyway, also his favorite thing. But Trump is also winning in the polls. He's miles ahead in the national polls, even though the national polls are meaningless because elections aren't national. But he is ahead in many state polls, so it's understandable that Trump thinks he has way more to lose by just showing up. And yeah, people are going to make the argument that the rest of the GOP field will see this as some kind of opportunity, at least the ones who are really running for office, not just looking to sell books or sell snake oil. Or both. But even if that doesn't happen, Trump should debate. Why? Because the primary race is the semifinal, and we need to win the final too. If we lose the presidential election in 2024, and Biden snorts enough Adderall to make it through another oath of office,
The is that? Ukraine.
does it matter which Republican lost? And if Trump is the nominee, which he probably will be, what are we doing to beat Biden? Well, here's how I'm looking at it. How does Trump win? It's simple. He forces Biden to stand next to him and give the American people a choice between big bad orange man or a corrupt, dribbling career politician who sold his soul to Ukraine and China, flushed the American economy down the toilet for no reason at all while taking endless vacations and pounding back ice cream. Force Joe Biden to stand and defend, if he can stand, make him stand and defend Bidenomics and the fact that Americans are struggling to afford food, to drive their cars, to keep the lights on. And the presidential debates are the perfect opportunity. But if Trump skipped the GOP debates, why would it be any different if Biden does the same thing? He's got way more to lose than gain. So why would he risk it? I don't care which candidate you want to win, whether it be Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, or whatever character Vivek Ramaswamy is playing this week. None of this matters if we get 4 more years of Biden, Kamala Harris, and Gavin Newsom when Biden finally keels over. Trump should just suck it up, go to the debate, take the hit if there even is one, but he'll probably win the debate, and destroy Biden in the presidential debates next year. If you don't want Biden to hide in the basement again, we should start how we mean to go on. The semifinal isn't enough. It's time to start thinking about how we win the whole thing. If you wait long enough, wokeness ruins everything. This time, the Queen song Fat Bottom Girls has been mysteriously dropped from their greatest hits collection on a new platform for young people called Yoto. Apparently, the song is just too offensive for our nation's youth, who are way too busy listening to this.
I said certified free, 7 days a week, wet and gushy, make that pull-out game weak.
But maybe Brian May should just go back to the drawing board and rewrite the song for our modern times. Fat-bottom people who identify as girls. Plus-size chest feeders. Secretary of Health Rachel Levine. But what we've got to realize is this song was already ahead of its time. Freddie Mercury is singing about a naughty nanny who helps him discover his sexuality before leaving the nursery. At the very least, he's singing about statutory rape. It's like this was written in Portland in 2023. If public schools can do it, why can't Freddie Mercury? And how do we know Big Fat Fanny wasn't a drag queen working in your local library? What about the line, fat bottom girls make the rockin' world go round? How do we know they weren't just talking about gravity? We've all been to Orlando. At this point, the entire industry of singing about asses is about to come crashing down on our faces. And no one but Hunter Biden is going to survive. There are 2 phrases I've been thinking about. Talk is cheap, and the proof is in the pudding. We use these phrases all the time, but when politics comes up, we forget them immediately. Especially when we watch debates. Now, one thing about political debates really annoys me. A lot of things about political debates annoy me, but let's stick with one right now. The idea of a winner. But what does winning a debate mean? If you look at some of the reactions, they're all about things that just don't matter. They all embrace cheap talk and ignore whether or not someone can ever deliver on their promises. If a politician was a used car salesman, you'd be so suspicious you'd walk off the lot without even looking at a car. But our politicians get a free pass every time. So the first GOP debate had 1,000 people on the stage talking about some, not all, some of the issues that matter most to conservative voters. They talked about education, illegal immigration, Ukraine, climate change, the weaponization of the DOJ, and UFOs for some reason.
Governor Christie, do you believe that the recent spike in UFO encounters...
I get the UFO question?
But because people have been manipulated into thinking that politics is a reality TV show with good guys and bad guys, and because we've forgotten that talk is cheap and the proof is in the pudding, the media immediately rushed to push the idea that people need to choose a winner. And this is all about the language they use. They don't ask people who spoke to the issues most important to you, or who did you agree with the most. They ask who won. But in a screaming match, what does winning mean? Look at how a lot of people are responding. They're talking about charisma, energy, smiling, hand-waving.
Right now, they're not doing that. And I think we need to do, and I think our support...
What have any of these things got to do with actually delivering on promises? Nothing. If we're going to talk about debates and winning debates, we need to be looking at this as a battle of issues. A battle for which issues matter most to the conservative movement and what being conservative even means right now. Most people watch these debates and they've already made up their minds. It's kind of like a bunch of people watching their favorite sports teams play while no one is keeping score, and then asking everyone who won. Trump fans think Trump won, even though he didn't show. DeSantis fans think DeSantis won. Vivek Ramaswamy fans think he won. Mike Pence fans think he won. Nikki Haley fans think she won. You get the picture. And if there are any Chris Christie fans out there, they think he won too. But why can't you agree on DeSantis on one issue and Vivek Ramaswamy on another? Why aren't the debates used to gauge which issues matter most in the first place, and which candidate speaks to those issues with more honesty and clarity? Why are debates turned into just a personality competition? Well, because this isn't a bug, it's a feature. There is far more to gain in the world of clickbait if you push debates as a gladiator fight between reality TV characters where you just grab your soda and popcorn and scream from the sidelines. And politicians play into that too, even though people who actually care about the issues don't want the gladiator match. Listen to how the audience reacted when we stepped into Kardashian land.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it.
So when people ask me who won, I don't really have an answer, because I'm trying to be honest. Yes, I prefer some candidates over others generally, and I'm not exactly quiet about that, but I care more about the issues than the politician we choose. The question people should be asking me is this: what was the most important moment in the debate when it comes to issues? And my answer here is this one.
Said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon. And
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch, so the reality is, America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into.
And it's not because I agree with Nikki Haley on Ukraine, and it's not because I just enjoyed Vivek Ramaswamy being dunked on. Again, fun, but not what debates are for. It's because foreign policy is the most important part of the president's job. For some reason, every 4 years, we convince ourselves that the man or woman we put in the White House will solve all of our problems. They'll reduce debt and spending, and also give us everything we want. They'll make people patriotic again. They'll stop propaganda in schools. They'll end abortion. It all sounds good, but can they do it? Most of the time, no. Because the people actually controlling these things are not in the Oval Office. They're in the Capitol building, they're in your state houses, they're your local councillors, they're your school boards. But what can the president do? Define and implement American foreign policy. Presidents have far more control over the southern border than spending, and they have far more influence over the war in Ukraine than transgender athletes. So in the next debate, let's not treat this like some weird combination of a professional wrestling match and a smorgasbord of impossible promises. Let's treat it as a sounding board for what they actually have control over. And one of those things is American foreign policy. That's why Nikki Haley versus Vivek Ramaswamy mattered, regardless of whether you agree with either one of them. If they're going to clash, they should clash over stuff that matters and stuff they can actually change. Don't forget, politicians are just salesmen. And how do we judge salesmen? We remember that talk is cheap, and the proof is in the pudding. We all know that Jen Psaki is a liar. It was her job description when she was the White House press secretary, because all press secretaries are professional liars, and it's her job description now as a host for MSNBC. But this might be the most ridiculous lie of all. So during the first GOP debate, the topic of abortion came up.
We're better than what the Democrats are selling. We are not going to allow abortion all the way up till birth, and we will hold them accountable for their extremism.
And the left-wing media machine went into overdrive to debunk this evil right-wing propaganda. Jen Psaki rushed to Twitter to say no one supports abortions up until birth. First off, she would never, ever, ever, ever answer the question, so when is the cutoff point for abortions? Second though, she's just lying. In Alaska, Oregon, Colorado, Vermont, New Jersey, Minnesota, and New Mexico, you can get an abortion at any point, including up until birth. Not only that, 34% of Americans believe that abortion should be legal under any circumstances. And what about the time then Governor of Virginia and part-time KKK and/or blackface enthusiast Ralph Northam openly talked about abortions after birth, otherwise known as murder?
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
Oh, and what about this?
Do you support any restrictions on abortion?
I don't. I've always believed...
Even in the third trimester? Do you think there should be any limitation on abortions?
No, I do not.
Up till now, my understanding is there wasn't a limit on when in a pregnancy a woman could receive an abortion. Have you set any limit on
There are no limits.
Is there a cutoff for you before that point?
No, to me, it's a reproductive, it's a healthcare decision. It's up to women to make that decision.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs that she is about to give birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified?
My bill would allow that, yes.
Are you for what he said, or late-term abortion, or the moments that he was talking about where you would keep a woman comfortable after she was giving birth in case she wanted to abort her third-term child?
I don't know all his comments, but what I do know is that I am for women having the right to make a choice about her own body.
State lawmakers in New York approved a law permitting abortion in the state up until birth. Cuomo applauded the legislation and marked the occasion by lighting the spire of the One World Trade Center pink to celebrate.
8 months into pregnancy, should a woman be allowed legally to have an abortion?
Again, I've told you I believe women's right to choose, period.
At the Capitol today, a House committee approved a bill that would remove restrictions on abortions performed in Minnesota.
The bill would erase the requirements such as parental notification, or that clinics can only handle first trimester abortions, that patients be told about possible links to cancer, and the 24-hour waiting period. The bill would repeal a law that requires doctors to save any baby born alive during an abortion.
Those in favor of Prop 1 include Governor Newsom, the California Democratic Party, and abortion rights groups such as the Planned Parenthood affiliates of California.
It would remove all restrictions on abortion, allowing for late-term abortion even up until the moment of birth, even if both mother and baby are healthy.
Now, he is vowing to fight here and says this new law makes it very clear where California stands on the issue as a sanctuary for abortion care.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced a new abortion marketing website establishing California as the nation's taxpayer-funded abortion state.
The president is prepared to sign the Women's Health Protection Act,
the so-called Women's Health Protection Act that would have nullified state and religious freedom laws across the country with respect to abortions and allowed late-term abortions without any notable restrictions in most cases.
Does he support any limits on abortion?
He supports the right of a woman to make choices about her own body.
Do you support any limitation on abortion, or do you think that women should have the right to have an abortion all the way up to 9 months?
That should be a choice made between a doctor and a woman. You do it by not setting arbitrary gestational limits.
Do you believe at any point in pregnancy, whether it's at 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 24 weeks or whenever, that there should be any limit on a woman's right to have an abortion?
I trust women to draw the line.
Senator Warren, would you put limits on any limits on abortion?
I would make certain that every woman has access to the full range of reproductive health care services, and that includes birth control, it includes abortion.
Any kind of limit for abortion, where do you go? 15 weeks? Where do you go?
Look, there is no one-size-fits-all limit.
You would veto any law with any limit on abortion?
I would veto any additional restrictions on abortion that are sent to my desk as governor, yes.
Do you believe that a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy up until the moment of birth?
Look, I think that happens very, very rarely, but at the end of the day, I believe that the decision over abortion belongs to a woman and a physician.
My question was about any limits to abortion at any point. You know, late term, anything?
You got to leave it up to the woman.
Do you believe there should be any restrictions on abortion?
I don't.
I was born September 8th, 1989, and I want to know if you think on September 7th, 1989, my life had no value.
This is a decision that neither you, nor I, nor the United States government should be making. That's a decision for the woman to make.
In other words, Jen Psaki is lying to you, newsflash. Yes, Democrats want abortion anywhere, anytime, for any reason. They just don't have the spine to admit it.